Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Unfiltered Tea. You should know us by now. I'm Aurora.
I'm Mandy.
And on today's episode, so I followed the Hannah Guiterrez trial from gavel to gavel because I'm a nerd like that. And also, when trials are dumpster fire circuses, I'm even more fascinated. So
It's hard to look away.
it really is. It really is. We had attorneys who forgot how to object. We had children, well, by children, I mean the attorneys fighting in front of the jury and then being admonished by the judge that anytime there was an objection, they had to go up to sidebar because they would just start arguing with each other. It was wild. So, Mandy, you've been hearing about me talk about this since October of
Yes.
2021.
Well, and
when
you and
it
I share
happened.
a fascination about this case and just the situation, like not even the legality of it necessarily. But I've spent a good portion of the past week trying to look up union rules around firearms, prop or replica firearms on set, and being quite disappointed by the lack of definitive guidance that I have found. But as someone who's been on stages where there are replica or dummy firearms being used, yeah, it feels like the education that I got should have prevented what happened from happening. So it's been very fascinating, and I've been following the news that has come out, but not actually watching the trial. So it's been an interesting kind of filling in the gaps exercise to chat with you about it after you've been watching each day.
At least the news has gotten this mostly right this time, as opposed to like the Depp Heard trial, where I would watch or listen to the trial all day and then the news would have clips. And I'm like, what trial are you watching? Because this is not the same. Like, the
At
trial that
all.
I watched today is not what you are talking about now. So yeah, this at least was pretty in line. I think a lot of folks had the thing of what role does the armorer have on a set?
Yes.
And when you're using blanks and dummy rounds, first of all, there should never be live rounds on a movie set.
Ever.
Like ever. Like ever. Which was in a lot of ways the crux of this particular trial, is that as the armorer, if she was doing her job, she should have been checking and catching any of the things that are on here. I've got issues with how the defense ended up defending myself, because even if I do think that she required a certain amount of time punishment wise, because yes, I had a hard time. I think the defense had a very, very good play that they could have used with some of the other people on set, the props master and the props house, the leader of the props house. I looked at some of his police interviews. There was a lot there that the defense could have used, and I want to know why they didn't. So yeah, that's kind of, so I went into this after, like, I've watched almost everybody's police interviews, not everybody, but I've been following this since day one, in part because I have folks in the industry, and I have a lot of friends that are in the tech side of the industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something like more safety for everybody involved.
Well, I also think in the greater context of the whole incident, you and I talked a lot about the notion that like the actor or others on set, aside from the, armorer or the props master, that they have like no responsibility. It's you just pick it up and you use it. which has never been my experience either. So knowing and loving some of the folks who are on the tech side, as much as I don't think that acquits them of any guilt or liability when things do go wrong, I do think that it's not a the buck stops here situation. The buck passes hands many, many times. So, and we need to make sure that it's still, real or fake money at every step along the line.
Exactly.
As part of the safety precautions you're talking about. So, yeah.
I mean, I can think of things with, Shakespeare plays with swords and blunted knives and things like that, where there were two people who handled those. Two, the stage manager or weapons master on stage, the actor. And
that's it.
And that was it. And if it went from, people got in trouble if you didn't follow those rules. And so when you're dealing with a weapon, it should have gone Armor Baldwin. And there should have been checks at every step of the way in front of lots of people. And that's what didn't happen. And so the question going into this trial is who's to blame, in a sense of, is Hannah Guiterrez's lack of double and triple checking the weapon one of the many things that led to the death of Helena Hutchins? The facts bear out that yes. However, I still think that, you have the assistant director, Dave Hulse, who pled out, got 6 months unsupervised probation, and that was it. And so I have an issue with that. So before we dive into absolutely everything, so this is going to be the TLDR version of all of this, because it was a 10-day trial, all day, every day for 10 days. And so we're gonna skip lots of different things as we go through, because we don't need all of the law enforcement officers going, this bullet is different than that bullet, this looks different than that. They're all there so that evidence can come in, and I understand that, but we don't necessarily need to focus on all of them. But I suppose I should run the intro.
That would be a good idea. We jump in. We want to start telling you all the details right away. Yeah, who the heck are we? Why are you here? Let's run the intro.
We should run the intro. We did actually just get a chance to see each other in real life too. So, we're a little like, oh my goodness, it's been 3 days. So, all right, I am going to hit the button. Intro, find the intro. Find the intro. You labeled it intro. All right, let's hit play.
Please stand by.
Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about news, politics, and entertainment, so pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. All right. I have my notes. So let's see. Day 1, we had opening statements. And I can summarize the opening statements pretty much with the prosecution was like, yep, she got hired to be props and armorer. She sucked at being an armorer. That's why she's on trial. That is a massive condensation. That's 2 hours of opening statements. And I shrunk way down. And the defense started with their opening statements of Hannah Guiterrez was just a scapegoat for all of the insanity that was happening on set. I actually think she was. Truly, at the end of all of the trial, I think she was an easy mark. I do think she also needed to have some consequences because she seemed a little fly by the seat of the pants. But I think she was a scapegoat myself.
Well, and I've never been involved in a litigation situation, but I've certainly been involved in or been witness either in person or very, sort of 2 degrees of separation from stage incidents where it's the person with the least protection who takes the fall. It just is lowest on the totem pole, non-union. If you have someone that is non-union that you can easily say, oh, yep, we fired the problem, or we removed the problem from set. So yeah, scapegoats are not unusual, unfortunately. And I don't think that's a theater thing. I think that's a life thing, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I have you seen any of I haven't even asked you. Have you seen any of the trial? Any of the interviews
Um,
or anything?
I have seen, no, only clips. I've watched nothing in its entirety. You showed me a couple of things about discussing the different types of replicas versus rubber weapons sort of things. But that's the closest I've come to not what's, a clip in a news article or some sort of online debrief, etc.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, I pulled up for day 1, I pulled up where are we at? I pulled up they had some of the body cam footage from when
Mm,
the police first arrived on set. So for those of you who don't know, one of the things we learned on day 1 is that when it's a town in New Mexico with not a massive police force. It's a pretty small town. So, oh dear, I'm about to choke on air.
oh no.
Special talent. um, and so when they pulled up, they've got a set of like almost 200 people milling about with somebody in 2 majorly injured people and all of that. So, um, the very first thing the prosecution did was actually bring in some of the body cam footage because even though you can see that Hannah is freaking out, you can also see that her reaction is maybe not as endearing as one would hope to
Mm,
everything. Now, at this point, there's just an injury. She wasn't in the church. She did not witness what had happened, which is part of the other problem. She wasn't in the actual church. So apparently, by the day 10, we learned everybody else was inside that building,
which
but
makes no
she
sense.
wasn't. And what is still unclear to me, based on the evidence that came in, is did she just voluntarily leave or was she told to get out? Because there were a lot of accounts that said, you can't stay in here. Let me just take the gun and go.
Yeah. You'd think, I don't know, I guess depending on which way that went, you'd think one side or the other would have focused on it.
Mm, yes, I feel like the defense should have followed up more on that. But yeah, at some point, if everybody wants me to, go through some of the police interviews with this cast of characters, we can do a day going through the police interviews because some of them are no, they're all wild. The movie that is going to come out about these trials, like the movie that will happen about this movie that has happened, is
As long as Alec Baldwin doesn't produce it. I mean,
yeah, yes,
I'm sorry. I had to say it. I'm sorry to Alec Baldwin and everyone affiliated with him, but
yeah. That man did himself no favors in his all of his chats with all of the people.
Yep.
Mm, yeah. So let's see. I'm just gonna double check my notes here.
So I'm not sure. You said the prosecution's opening statement was basically that that Hannah Guiterrez was hired as a props master and then became the armorer, and that she probably wasn't vetted for or perhaps appropriately trained to be an armorer, and that's why she was there. So what was I have either it's fallen out of my brain, for which I apologize because I'm particularly like my brain is abuzz today in a way that it isn't normally. But so the defense came back with
she's a scapegoat.
Okay. That's how we went down that.
For everything
Got it.
on set. Yeah. And
Got it.
yeah, she was hired as a props assistant and the armorer. And
Okay.
she had armorer days and she had props days.
It's definitely not confusing.
And what should have happened is she should have just been the armorer. And if there were issues with people not doing what they needed to do, of which there were many, in my own personal opinion, she should have just taken everything and said, you are not allowed to play with the boom toys, and taken them away.
Yeah.
And let them find somebody else. The OSHA report indicates that there was pretty much that what happened, it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And that's what's truly terrifying about the set as a whole. I think the defense should have leaned into their scapegoat argument a little bit more because I think they had evidence for it. But what I don't know is what was allowed to come in, what was not allowed to come in from pretrial motions. So I don't know if they were hamstrung in that particular way. Watching her attorney in her second police interview, however, I think he just didn't. He was kind of a pushover instead of vehemently defending his client and shutting down the interview, which I personally think he maybe should have done. So yeah.
And it's also interesting to pursue the scapegoat defense because being a scapegoat doesn't necessarily mean that you're absolved of guilt.
Right.
It sounds more like it's an institutional failure argument, but you're still part of the institution that. So again, it just doesn't feel like a really strong defense if you're trying to actually prove someone not guilty. It's certainly if you're trying to say like, yes, this person didn't do their job, but also 10 other people did. That probably is what happened. But just from sort of a legal tactics standpoint, I'm not sure that that's your strongest argument for the innocence of your client.
Yeah, I still have questions as to why they didn't lean into certain things, because seeing that the evidence is out there.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you focus on that? It's available, at least to the public. So why didn't it come in here? And maybe there's a reason. I don't know. Sometimes we find this out a little bit later. Do I have this?
After the fact, yeah.
Says day one on the video. I skipped over.
I'm sorry.
Oh, are you
I may be
okay?
muting a lot. I've got a cough. So if I mute,
no.
it's just so you don't have to hear me hacking.
Don't die. Not allowed to die. I know that I left Virginia and then like everything burst into bloom. So,
Well, and we're going through these like 70 plus degree days, but then like 40 to 50 degree evenings, which is beautiful. But the plants really don't know what they're doing. So every day is, I don't know what pollen's in the air. We're all of the flora is a little schizophrenic right now. We're trying to work through
it. Oh dear. Spring is happening everywhere. Yes. So I have pulled up, I think I have my timestamp right on here for day one for body cam footage. We're going to find out. We're all going to find out together.
It's an adventure.
Let's see. I just want to see. Hey, look at Look at me go. All right. Covering certain things so that, like, you know, we have it organized well. Anyway, let's see how I did for day 1. I have timestamps. I lost a lot of my timestamps. Oh yeah, I need to back up ever so slightly because this is where Hannah starts freaking out. So she was having a panic attack as police were there to, and she's realizing what's going down. I think I'm pretty close. Let me see if I can. Come on. No, 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 no. Too far. Too far. Hi, guys. I'm a professional. Really, I am. Close enough.
You got this.
Southern end of Santa Fe County. It's off the frontage road, I-25 frontage road.
For the record, state of New Mexico.
In the state of New Mexico.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
This is the police officer whose body cam.
Just please relax, okay? Just take deep breaths and relax. Can somebody get water for her?
That's Hannah then. That's Dave Halls, I think.
No, the helicopter's here for her. Yeah, the helicopter's here for her.
Where the fuck are these injuries? Is she okay?
I don't know anything. Right now, I don't know. I'm just trying to secure everything.
Mr. Benavides, do you know why the helicopter is still there?
The helicopter, in my experience, lands and they try to stabilize the victim before they fly him out. The victim has to be stable before they fly him out.
Can that sometimes take time?
Yes, from my experience, yes, it takes a little bit of time.
Need to know before I start getting information. She's an armor. Who are you? I'm the production designer. Okay, thank you. And you? The production. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I won't remember your names. I'm sorry. So.
You're fine. You're fine.
Can somebody get him water?
Yeah, he did. Oh my god.
Do you remember where those boxes of ammunition are right now?
Yes, they're on the left side of the cart on a piece of paper.
And are you keeping an eye on them?
I am.
And you saw what they... Did you see them when she handed them to you?
I saw them. I know what they physically look like, yes.
Thank you.
I'm just going to pause for a second there. So that was the very initial when that, I'll pull her down. We can
Not stare at poor Hannah.
not stare at the poor girl right at the moment. So that was that. I mean, at that point, everybody knows it's bad. The box of ammunition is there. But yeah, so that was the initial body cam footage where she's having the actual panic attack.
Yeah.
For that, and I'm trying to get to.
Which, I mean, I don't know. She doesn't. I'm not unsympathetic with having a panic attack while this is happening by any stretch of the imagination.
Everything's.
In fact, I would almost feel worse if she were just totally calm and like, yeah, they're over there. Cool. No, that's not what you want to see. So,
no, that is not what you want to see at all. I was looking for one spot because I believe it's on this video that she talks about her career is over.
Well, that's
but it may be in the video the following day.
Mm.
I'm trying to go on.
Yeah. That's not someone who was raised by lawyers. Let's leave it
No. No. I'm looking to
When
see
you-
if there's anything from that body cam footage, anything else that is really pertinent to day one. And I don't think so. What else do we have here? Remind me. Oh, yeah. Oh, and then we had, I found it. I found the other point. I do believe.
Yes.
I will pull that back up. Yeah, I think this is, and we get to see the attorney that she fired for like a minute.
Yay.
So I don't know. I still don't know why she fired the attorney. She did. We have not found out why she fired this guy. I feel like maybe she would have had a better defense if she'd kept him, but that's just guessing. Okay, let's see if I did this right.
An excerpt from your lapel video, about 90 seconds. And at the start of this video, you're talking with this gentleman here, my client, about the gun. I'm just going to play this for you and then ask you some questions, okay?
Good.
Yes, this is cross-examination of this officer. Since I'm jumping all around here.
Rounds I gave you?
They're on the card.
Are they?
I don't know.
Who would you give them to?
I'll get them back to you.
I get.
I'll get them.
No, those are extra. Yeah, that's not it. The one.
I'm going to speed this up a little bit.
All right, we've gone 42 seconds. From the vantage point that you were looking at, could you have seen this cart?
Yes.
Do you see it on the video?
Well, the video's pointed because the video's on my chest. So the video's pointed straight, but my head's looking at the cart.
Okay.
Oh my God, fuck. I'm so. Are they okay?
Hey, turn the video off. We need more units out here.
Huh?
All right, so now your torso will be pointing, if the cart's over there,
It's
maybe
pointed east.
in that direction, about 180 degrees from the cart.
Yes.
Did you have visual contact of the cart at this point in time?
Yes.
Did
I was looking at Hannah and I was looking at the cart at the same time. But she was moving around, so I was looking at her and I was looking at the cart.
All right. It looks like you turned around there.
Yes.
Were you looking at the cart before you turned around?
Yes. I was looking back and forth, back and forth. My video's pointed straight because it's on my chest.
This is the defense attorney she fired.
Yeah, I would really like to know why, because he is very clearly pointing out that you can't have continuous visual contact with two things that are 180 degrees, you know, basically in opposite direction. I can't be looking at both of these things at the same time unless I am part whatever has its eyes on the sides of its head, like fish. Like if I were a fish, then maybe you could believe that I could see both of those things, but I'm not. I'm a human, so it's not possible. And I thought he was doing a very good job of that. I found it hilarious. Before you turned around, were you looking at the cart? Yes. That's not possible, sir. Nice try. No. Sorry.
No.
So yeah, I'm not sure why. I mean, maybe that felt clunky to Hannah, or maybe there could have been tons of things going on that weren't visible in the courtroom that particular day or in the days when that was her attorney. But yeah, that seemed like a very good line of questioning to me.
I thought it was brilliant.
No legal training. No legal training. I should be clear about that. I was raised by lawyers entirely. Like some people say they were raised by wolves. I was raised by lawyers in the same way that some people were raised by wolves. but I have
mean,
no training.
I was raised in a theater, so you know, theaters and galleries. I feel like wolves are pretty close to that.
Yeah, fair, fair.
Yes. What was the term? Rob said it on Friday Night Frenzy this week. Law muggle. We're law muggles. We are not actual attorneys in any capacity. No legal training. No, none of that.
I haven't read
Law
those
muggle.
books in a long time, but no, I'm a squib. I'm a law squib.
You are a law squib. Yes, you are. I am definitely. No, I'm a law. We're gonna stick with law muggle, not law squib, because I know enough to think I know things, but I don't actually know things.
Well, and so much of law, I mean, so much of the actual way that laws are written is not the same from one locality to another. So, there's that too. I've never lived in New Mexico, right? That's
New
where this was all
Mexico.
Never lived there. Certainly never witnessed the practice of law there, much less, obviously, I don't practice law, so I haven't practiced law anywhere. You guys, can you feel that my brain is like in a particular spicy dimension today? Because that's all I can feel. So I'm really sorry that you're being dragged into this brain dimension with me. Thanks for taking the journey. Oh my gosh.
It's all good. It is all good. I'm trying to find. Okay, so day two. Day two. Yeah, we're gonna move. I should swoop. I should swoop.
So that was day one.
That was day one
for this video. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, day one highlights of the Hannah Guiterrez trial, and I can't find anything today. Swoop. No swoop. Okay.
Swoopity swoop swoop.
Swoopity swoop swoop. Where did I move it to? See, this is the thing. It's like I got all the videos all set up for day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 10. Do we think that I wrote my notes down in a fashion that would make any sense to future me when I wrote them? No. Day 2 was when they presented text messages, which I have not pulled up here intentionally. They presented text messages between Hannah and her attorneys, I believe, which is her attorneys, when they did the phone extraction, didn't put the caveat on there that anything between Hannah and them was attorney-client privilege, and they signed off. Not only that,
maybe that's why she fired her attorney. That'd do it for me. Like, that's pretty basic. That's, again, I don't know legal. I've never worked, but I used to work in crisis management, and you know what the first thing you do in a crisis is in a company? You make sure that your general counsel or their designated person establishes attorney-client privilege for the. Oh my God, yeah, that's so basic. That hurts me.
Oh, this is when it started to go from a trial to a circus, which is rather unfair to circuses, because I know we call it a circus. Also, I happen to know professional clowns and circus performers. Again, raised in a theater, so an actual circus is one of that is a tightly run organization in so many ways. It has to be.
In a circus, it may appear to those watching to be this very organic, but there's a plan, there's a schedule, there's a performance order. No. Not
Th-
so much with
this
this
is when
trial.
it started to unravel at the seams, this trial, and it just, so they presented it, prosecutor, you can't, this prosecutor is smart. You cannot tell me she did not know what she was doing when she put this up there. Hannah's phone number gets read into the record.
Oh God.
Attorney Bullion's phone number gets
Oh
read
my
into the record. Now, these were already unredacted in filings, so everybody just sort of assumed that phone numbers had been changed until this hit national television and everybody watching. And there was somebody who did the thing that you're not supposed to do and went, this phone number is still active? Clickety click, click, click. Oh, look, it is. Thus blowing up both phones. And this is where I say, I feel like the prosecutor knew exactly what she was doing when she did this. Because she was like, hey, if they didn't want it redacted, a reporter had cornered her at one point. I didn't have a chance to pull up that video. A reporter had cornered her at one point shortly after this on the lunch break and said, hey, what about this? And she was like, if they wanted it redacted, they should have requested that it be redacted.
It's, it may not be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it may be unsportsmanlike, but or whatever the ethical version of that is. But yeah, it's definitely not illegal.
Nope.
It's hard to say.
Nope. And it was so that caused a kerfuffle. We learned the name of Hannah's phone, which has led to quite the online discussion of what do you name your phone, and the decision
What was the
has
name of
been
Hannah's phone?
Gorilla Grip Pussy Pal.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. Which seems to be a thing. I am too naive and like it's been explained to me by people on the internet that are far more entertaining to watch them lose their minds
Yes.
as they explain this. I do not need to Google this. I just go, that sounds like something I don't need to know about. And I
Indeed.
leave that.
That sounds like something you don't want read out loud or seen during legal proceedings. Let's just leave it at that.
So this is a good moment to remind everybody that even if you think your text messages may never get pulled, always text as though somebody will read it out loud in a court of law.
Yes.
And also, if you're going to name your phone, please do everybody the favor of either having it be super boring and court appropriate or super entertaining and completely inappropriate, because both will work.
But like super inappropriate in a way that has no bearing on any potential character assassination that may be undertaken while you are in court proceedings.
Yeah. I mean,
that's my suggestion.
At least with this, it had nothing to do with weaponry or
Nope. Yep.
anything like that. It was yep.
Was a different kind of weaponry altogether.
It was a different kind of weaponry altogether.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
So day two, that happened. Phone numbers get into the record.
When did lawyer get given the HEPO?
He requested being off the case, I believe, lunchtime of day shortly after this occurred.
Yeah. I'm thinking it was the lack of protecting a whole bunch of phone record type stuff. That
Yeah.
I would have been pissed if it had been me. I would have been very upset.
Although it's funny because only one of her attorneys got fired. And that had to go through a lot of legal assistants, attorneys on both sides. So, and the attorney that got fired is the one whose phone number was also released.
Huh. Whoops. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
So I'm not sure. I think it may have had something to do with that, but I feel like maybe Hannah jumped to conclusions or something. Anyway, he had filed.
I'm constructing a whole story in my head about like, well, no, I didn't ask them to redact anything because I don't want to appear like we're hiding anything. And then, you know, that freaks her out. Anyway, that's just my creative little brain going off on a tangent. Sorry. Thank you for listening.
Mandy's speculation is the best kind of speculation.
Crazy.
So looking at my notes, so that happened. No redaction. And then we get to, do I have it at the right point? No, I do not. I need to back up. Because this is the day when, I hit the point where the prosecution started impeaching their own witness.
Oh, goodness.
That was day 2. And then they just start arguing over everything. So by day 3, we may not need to actually witness any of this, but by day 3, the judge had put in a thing that was like, no, if you have an objection, not that Bowles had many, everybody comes up and we sidebar this because they just went. We need to see a little of
Yeah,
this,
let's see an example.
Hang on, I'm getting back.
While you show that, I have to fix my camera. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm still here.
I'm getting there, ladies and gentlemen. I am getting there. All right. Present. Okay. Don't mind me, ladies and gentlemen. I had a moment where I wasn't sure. So this is Roe. I can't remember her actual name. Everybody called her Roe. Anyway, she was one of the prosecution witnesses. She was on set and is one of the folks that we see in the body cam footage and stuff like that. And she is the one that the prosecution then tried to impeach shortly after her testimony.
Cross-examination, that no one complained to you about Ms. Gutierrez. Do you recall saying that?
I do recall.
Isn't it true that one of the reasons that the camera crew indicated they were leaving was because of the accidental discharges from firearms on set?
Correct.
Oh yeah. Before I forget, the entire camera crew walked off set the day before this incident happened, citing safety issues and concerns and travel and working too hard and all of that. So
Very, very encouraging.
Yeah. So forgot to mention that part.
Going to object on hearsay, that would be the basis for that.
Well, I'm basically impeaching her because she indicated.
Counsel approach, just you two.
Yeah, that was said in front of the jury. I'm basically impeaching her, the witness that the prosecution called.
That's and that's the prosecution, right? I'm impeaching my own witness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All in front of the jury. Well, I'm impeaching her.
Duh.
Man.
Let's all come up here and have a little conversation. That's lovely.
Yep. I'm trying to remember if this got even worse. I think it did. Play again. I do think, yeah. Oh no. I had this. Let's make it quick again. And zoom. Wait. Oh, come on. Did I go backwards? I went backwards. That wasn't what I meant to do. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I know what I'm doing.
And Mr. Bowles asked you about the camera crew coming the following day to collect their belongings.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think you indicated that they stayed at the camera truck.
Mhm.
Is that right?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And is the camera truck and the prop truck the same thing?
No.
In your experience, do people on the camera crew frequently bring their own equipment, stands, cables, stuff like that?
Sometimes, yes.
And did they on the set of Rust?
Yes, they did.
Is that your understanding what they were taking?
Yes.
During the day, when filming was going on, was the prop truck being overseen by a driver? A member of the Teamsters that you hired?
He might not have been there all the time, but he was around, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And I want to just ask you a couple of quick questions about your experience. How many films or productions, or even TV is fine, have you been the...
I didn't hear that the first time. Even TV is fine. Like what? Huh? Her whole tone, it didn't matter who she was talking to, always was like a little snarky.
Yeah.
And condescending. Like that's just her tone.
Okay.
unit production manager on prior to this?
Prior to this, 3 or 4.
And did any of those
Still
other
none.
productions
Yeah,
have
basically.
an armorer?
They did not.
This was the first production you worked on that had an armorer.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Troubling.
Mm-hmm. See, I think that's supposed to be an objection or something. He's very
Just real briefly, I asked you
Indeed.
earlier about, you were saying that you don't remember, you couldn't see if Mr. Baldwin was paying attention during that training.
Correct.
You're calling your pretrial interview that you did indicate that he wasn't paying attention?
I had been told he wasn't paying attention. I did not physically see it.
Okay, so, and I don't want to get into the hearsay comment.
Sure.
So, but you didn't see it yourself?
I did not.
Okay. With regard to the, with regard to the accidental discharges, were you aware that there was a discharge with special effects?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're excused. Thank you. Thank you. Next witness.
Did you understand where the redirect was? Like when he asked those extra questions or recross, sorry. Did that help? I mean, not even watching all the rest of it, but did that help from the bit that you saw? Because I feel like
No.
that did not help at all.
No, I didn't. I would like to know what he meant about the discharge with special effect. Like, what was that? Is that therefore like, yes, it was scary, but it was safe, or there, I needed more. I just needed more. Yeah. And the whole, like, the driver was around comment, I definitely would have wanted to dig into that. So yeah, I'm left wanting for sure. Also, this is no hate on people with little or no hair. But that man needs to stop waxing his head. Every time I have watched video of him questioning a witness, every single time I'm mostly distracted by, like, did you polish that specially for the courtroom? Because I don't think it's having the effect you wanted to have. Just a little powder, sir, a little something. So that when I'm looking at you on camera, I'm not going, holy, I didn't know I needed an Eclipse camera to watch this trial. Sorry. Just
Oh,
every
no.
time I've seen him, that's all I can think is please stop waxing your head, sir. Please.
That comment did come up pretty frequently throughout in all of the chats because
So bright.
yeah.
It's so bright.
Yeah. So that was basically day 2. And then after that, the judge, like anytime there was an objection, the judge was like, no, sidebar, because we're not having this out. It just got worse. Like that little, I'm impeaching her. It just got worse throughout the day. Hang on.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
working on
kind
the
of
list.
conversation I would expect to see in a mock trial in like year 1 of law school, not
Uh-huh.
an actual courtroom. Oof.
Yeah, so next day, I have only one thing on the list because everybody else that happened on day 3 was nothing compared to Ross Adiago, who was in the church at the time this happened. So yeah. That's day 3. So I'm gonna pull him up in just a moment. I'm gonna swoop and then I'm gonna pull him up. That's what we're gonna do.
That was day 2.
That was day
Now
2.
we go to day 3.
That was day 2. And then we are going to nope. Wait. Hang on. I'm buffering. Hold the phone. And so far, I've remembered to hit all my swoop buttons. I'm loving this. Okay. No. Hang on. No.
We are grumpy. The technology is being cantankerous.
I'm good. I need to get this up so that it's full screen and all of that. And then we can do things. And yeah. We've covered day 1 and day 2. Now we are on day 3. And I am going to pull up the testimony of Ross Adiago, who was there. I'm going to let it just sit for the first little bit because after watching the entire trial, his testimony was truly some of the best.
This is the prosecution's weapon.
No,
which witness is this? Sorry.
So this is Ross Adiago, who was a grip on
yes, okay.
The on the movie of Rust, and gotcha. He was his testimony was amazing. So do I have this? Do I have this one? Yes, that's the one. Me doing this on the regular? I don't know. I think our placement is good. I'm just good. This is at the very beginning of his testimony, and we're going to get this out of the way. Yes, he looks like he walked out of Walter White casting and onto the witness stand. I understand this. I'm sure he understands this. I feel like he's a better human than Walter White was a character. But I didn't watch the whole show. So I'm gonna just start with this. This is at the very beginning of his testimony. We won't necessarily go through all of it, but we certainly can go through a fair amount. I'm trying to speed because this is the TLDR, but I want to give him some room to explain who he was and where he was. So.
Spell your last name if you would.
Addiego.
Mr. Diego, how are you currently employed?
As a dolly grip.
Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a dolly grip does?
I help the camera department in any way possible with camera support. So any camera movement, whether on a dolly, camera cranes, rigging a camera to vehicles, I assist them in any way that I can as a representative from the grip department.
You do this on movie sets?
Movie sets, television sets, music videos, commercials. Yes.
His IMDb page is just a list and a list and a list and a list and a list. It's an
He's
impressive
done more than
IMDb
3 or
page.
4
Yes.
previous. Yeah, I was getting that sense from every word that's come out of his mouth so far.
He is one of like 3 witnesses that did not pad their IMDb on the witness stand
Very nice.
from the movie. I will return the floor to him now.
Give us a little bit of an idea of your background and experience in the film industry. How long have you been working as a dolly grip or generally kind of as camera supportive crew?
I've been in the industry almost 30 years at this point.
And when we talk about film credits, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what we mean when we say film credits.
On a TV show, we wouldn't often be listed at the end of the show. On a movie, you would see credits roll at the end of a movie. But online, there's a database, internet movie database that kind of tracks not only the productions, the shows, the actors, and also the crew, which I would fall under. So that essentially acts as a resume for me.
And on that online database, approximately how many film credits do you have?
Over 100.
And would you say that over 100 is approximately the number of film credits that you really have?
I would say that represents half of my time on set. Certain things don't get, a lot of commercials don't get listed, music videos don't get listed. Most of my TV and film work, I think, is on there.
Okay. So your total amount of credits might be closer to 200?
That's probably a safe assessment, yes.
Okay. And back in October of 2021, how were you employed?
I was employed as the A-camera dolly grip on a little movie called Rust.
So when you say a camera, is there more than one camera?
Yes, that movie had 2 cameras, an A camera and a B camera.
And is that common?
It is very much common, yes.
Have you ever worked on films that had more than 2 cameras?
Yes.
And have you worked on films that had only 1 camera?
Yes.
So as the A camera dolly grip, can
I'm
you
going to
just
speed
kind
him
of
up a little bit.
walk us through what you're
'Cause
doing on set?
We don't need to. We can go a little faster.
In the simplest terms, helping the director of photography capture the director and writer's vision for the project.
And specifically, how are you doing that? Physically, what are you doing?
Again, assisting with the camera movement. On this movie, we had a good number of crane shots, so high and wide, to see the Western town or the beautiful environment we were in. A lot of dolly moves, so there was constantly movement throughout the story, whether moving into a set or coming out of a set to reveal other characters.
So what's the dolly and what is the dolly used for?
The dolly is a piece of camera support equipment used in lieu of a tripod or another stable or static camera support apparatus. So the dolly typically has 8 wheels, different size dollies depending on the project, and it also has a hydraulic boom system. So I can, with my controls, boom the camera up and down, whether during the shot or to set up a shot and get the camera where both the director of photography and the camera operator and the director think it best tells the story we're trying to tell in that moment.
And who was the director of photography for this film?
Helena Hutchins.
And who was the director for this film?
Joel Souza.
And do you recall, was the camera operator for camera A always the same person?
Until the fateful day, it was the same person.
And who was that person?
His name was Andy. His last name escapes me at this moment.
Okay. In this film, was camera A always on a dolly?
No.
So other than the camera filming from the dolly, how else can cameras film?
We did a good bit of handheld. So my cameraman would have the camera on the shoulder by his hip, and I would assist him with that weight and keeping him safe as he's moving around.
And let me stop you right there.
Yes.
Approximately how much does that camera weigh?
On that project, it was, depending on the lens, 40-ish pounds.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
And then we also had Andy on a man-rideable crane, which means that I could put him on a camera crane that was 20 some odd feet long or longer and kind of put him up in the air to get wide vistas of our sets and locations.
So how long had filming been going on the set of Rust prior to October 21st?
We were a couple of weeks into it.
And when you say a couple of weeks, are we talking, how many days are in the work week?
My recollection is we were doing 5-day weeks, but at some point our weeks shifted. I think we were doing a Tuesday through Saturday schedule. So we were 10 to 12 days in, I believe, at that point.
Okay, 10 to 12 days of actual filming.
Correct.
Okay, because you had weekends.
We did. We typically had whatever our union protocol was, 2 days off, 48 hours or some such.
One of the interesting things in this particular trial is who was union and who wasn't, and where were union things happening and all of that. So he's union, he's got stuff, and I will get to this spot. I'm just letting him go. I may speed him up a little bit because I want to get to... I'm going to give it a little longer before I give up and assume that we're in a different place, because what I want to get to is where he was on that day, because it was, but this is very helpful for what was he doing and what do these people do and where are they? I will go back. I will let him talk again.
Now, with regard to all of your film credits, can you tell the jury approximately how many projects you've worked on where there was an armorer on the crew?
Can't give you an exact number, but a dozen or more at this point in my career.
And why would a production company hire an armorer?
Because they plan to use potentially deadly weapons and ammunition.
And what is your understanding of what the responsibilities of a set armorer are?
Sure. I'm going to skip past this because they are... Look, Bulls found an objection, and they're going to argue about it.
I'd like to know if that's sustained, because I bet it's about, having somebody else define what the responsibilities of an armorer are, and that seems valid.
Yes. Yes, I do believe. Let's see. When she comes back.
Safety protocols that you yourself saw armorers engage in all of those movies up until you got to the movie Rust.
Mostly he won that, but she came back and was like, no, we're asking my question, because that was part of what happened every time. It's like, fine, I'll find different words, but we're asking my question.
And that's half the game. And if you need to establish that he's had experience of how an armorer functions on a set, I mean, that leads me to believe that the rest of this conversation, the rest of this examination of this witness, rather, is going to be about whether or not the same protocols were followed on set. So she's got to get there somehow.
Yes.
or at least do our damnedest, right, to get
or
there
at
somehow.
least try. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd like to talk to you about those. In the other movies where there were armorers that you worked on, can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how, under what circumstances, in your experience, can you describe the safety protocols that the armorers on those other movies engaged in when they would bring a firearm onto set for use in filming a scene?
Your Honor, I'm also going to object to relevance. What happened in other movies has no relevance to what happened on Rust.
Response.
Can we approach?
It's one of the only times he actually found a legitimate
Good for him.
objection, which was wonderful.
Just a second, because I don't know that we have very many people here that are in the film industry. What's a call sheet?
So I would receive an email, typically receive an email every night before filming, and that email would include a call sheet that would list who will be on set, both cast and crew. It'll tell us what scenes we're doing. It'll tell us locations, kind of general information for the day, weather, what time the sun goes up and down, whatever production feels is pertinent information. And then a lot of times what they'll attach to that email are the sides, the actual parts of the script we're shooting for the day, and then safety bulletins, whatever union safety bulletins would be appropriate for that day, whether firearms or animals, inclement weather. And then on the day of filming, typically the first assistant director would call for a safety meeting and call all of the cast and crew that would be involved to listen to that meeting. And potentially the armorer may have something to say as far as what we're doing if we're firing blanks. Here's the...
But hang on, I'm going to stop you right there. So hypothetically, if the scene calls for the firing of blanks, because we haven't had a lot of this testimony in trial yet, can you explain to the jurors what your understanding is about the difference in the different loads of blanks?
In my experience, the armorer would tell us if we're using dummies or blanks, and if we're using blanks, which would make a noise in a flash, they would typically describe the power. Quarter load, half load, full load would give us some indication as to the potential danger with that particular firearm being used by the actor in that scene.
And let me
I'm
stop you right there. You
intrigued
talked
by the
about this
lack of
particular
objection
scene.
here.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're not privy to whatever the discussion was at the bench after the last objection. So maybe that whatever, grounds to object have already been taken away in that conversation. But I find it amazing that we've got someone who's a dolly grip describing what an armorer should do, and safety bulletins and safety talks. And I mean, really, that would be like calling me to describe it. Well, in the teen version of this musical, that's not, anyway,
I'm glad that you noticed that, because this is when it started to just be like, sir, are you, I believe Ian Runkle said he was Weekend at Bernie's.
I mean,
the objection that it was like this the whole time. The number leading, like, she's on direct, she's not allowed to lead. Hearsay everywhere. Everywhere. Even my dad was like, okay.
I just can't. Like, you've objected twice. That conversation that you had at the bench from the defense's perspective should have been, we have not established that this witness is an expert in the fields of da 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 da. So we either need to establish that right now, or we need to stop asking questions about that of this witness. Can we all agree on that? Again, not probably how one says those words to a judge, but that I would think would be the gist.
That is what you would think.
And yet here we are listening to a dolly grip explain safety protocols.
What one of many who explained what an armorer did, who was not in fact an armorer.
An armorer, yeah. It's like asking me how TSA agent confirms whether or not there are unsafe materials being transported into an airport. Like I have I gone through a TSA screening many times? Yes. Do you have any idea what happens on the other side of that when you're actually looking at the x-rays and using the wand? Nope. So how would I explain that job?
I mean,
in my experience, they stand there as though they are asleep, and then I go get on the plane. Bet TSA agents would love that explanation. Sorry, I'm done now. I'll step off my soapbox.
No. I mean, by these rules, she could have called us.
Exactly.
We could have explained it. And yeah, I mean, we can go into him being right next to Helena Hutchins and Joel Souza when this happened. But I wanted to, like, this is one of my favorite witnesses in the entire thing, and I realize I'm trying to speed along, and I screwed up on my timestamps on this.
But I would just throw out there as well that before this trial even began, from the moment that the injuries and death occurred, there has been a metric ton of speculation about who's responsible for making sure that the weapons on set are appropriately managed, that the ammunition is appropriately managed, etc. So I guess that's why I find it particularly offensive to have somebody who's not in any of those roles just up there on the witness stand opining about what their jobs are. Because again, like, we've had enough confusion. We don't need to add to the confusion. Let's get somebody who actually does this job. Have them testify. And it makes me wonder why we haven't gone that route.
Yeah, especially when the armor that she did have on, which we will get to in a couple of days, not as we go through the days, was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And you're like, now just have had him on.
Yes.
And have our darling Roz that the world fell in love with. Yeah, because then for whatever reason, I mean, you've seen Hannah's attorney, who is, just sitting there and is super soft spoken. He comes at this guy like the jury clearly loves him. I'm going to see if I can skip back across, because the way he comes in across was not how I was expecting him to come in across at all, at all. Timestamps. Did I write down all my timestamps? Nope. Where are we, sir? Nope. Ah, no.
Uh-oh. Danger, Will Robinson. For those who are wondering why I'm just pounding coffee over here, it's because I am taking my daughter for her first driving, like me, teaching her how to drive lesson this afternoon. So I need to be all of the awake.
Yes.
All of the awake and focused. Yeah.
I almost got it.
In case these are my last recorded words. No.
Hopefully, as long as she knows where the gas is and where the brake is,
Yeah, but she literally has not sat behind the wheel until today.
What I will show is this lovely little bit. All right, I am going to bring this back, and we are going to hit play, because this is some of this stuff taken from inside the church, where we get to see the person who also should have done a job. And I will be covering this every day when we get to Baldwin's trial in July, for sure. Because I want to see this man go down. Personal preference on this. He doesn't seem very sympathetic. I'm going to start here. Oh, you know it would be helpful too if I unmute it and then hit play. Then people can hear when we do this. So this is like the shot that they were setting up that led to all of
What's
the
that noise we
problems.
hear? That
I'm not actually sure. I was trying to figure that out myself.
Okay.
Oliver Russ? Did you get up nice and slow? I'll see what you might have. Ain't no iteration.
Who is the person speaking? Whose voice are we hearing?
It sounds like Jensen Ackles.
And is he an actor?
He is an actor in Rust playing one of the lawmen, is my recollection.
Okay, thank you.
Stand up slowly and toss in guns. Okay, we're gonna do it again. And set and action. Oliver Russ? Did you get up nice and slow? Toss in the weapons you might have. There ain't no iteration you walking out of this church lesson. You stand up slowly and toss in guns. Okay, and set. Okay, so
There's the answer to your question. That's the answer to your question earlier, that sound.
Why don't you explain to us what we're seeing?
So what you just saw for a brief moment was one of the effects department people coming in to spray at what we'd call atmosphere. So dust or whatever I don't know what's in their spray can, but that is what that sound was. And that's what they were doing, was adding atmosphere that makes it look a little foggy. And if hard light comes through those windows, you would kind of see those lights, the rays of light in that fog.
And I just backed this video up to 1 minute, 6 seconds so that I can ask you the position that Mr. Baldwin is sitting in this video. Is that the same or similar position that he was in the blocking scene after lunch?
Yes, similar.
Okay.
Okay, so if you want to go lower than that.
Would you anyway, you can come up and see me open my eyes, or you know, let's say I'm down here like this, and when he says Harlan Russ, I want to go. Okay. You got to come down here for that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see if we can do it. Here we go. On another take. Here we go. Ready?
And set. Ready. And action. Harlan Russ, did you get up nice and slow? Toss any guns you have. There ain't no iteration you walking out of this church lesson. You stand up slowly and toss some weapons. Russ. All right, let's flip the sensor.
Can we try this?
So let me ask you, just so that we get an idea, where we see Mr. Baldwin sitting in the church pew, where is the door to the church?
Behind the camera.
From Mr. Baldwin's perspective, is it in front of him?
In front of Mr. Baldwin, yes.
And where is Mr. Ackles, the gentleman who is speaking in the scene?
It sounds as though he's just to the left of the camera.
So where would that be in relation to the door?
Jensen would be in between Mr. Baldwin and the door.
Okay, and if you can estimate how many feet, how big is this room and how many feet are there from where Mr. Baldwin is sitting to the door?
In that instance, because we had moved the pews around a little. So in that instance, Mr. Baldwin's less than 20 feet from the door would be my guesstimation.
Okay, and who's this gentleman here that we can see in the video?
That is Dave Halls.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish it just for completeness, and then we'll move on to our next one. All right. I am now going to play what will be marked as State's Exhibit 112A. I would ask the court to go ahead and admit 112A and give permission to publish.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, 112A is admitted. You may publish.
Okay. And set. Ready.
and action. Harlan Rush. Keep you straight up, not too slow. Show see weapons you have. Again, ready? Let's see what.
That's why I wanted to show that because, you know, he had nothing, he had no power on set. What is fascinating to me about this is like, wait, no power, sir?
We've reset the camera angle because of your suggestion. And we're starting takes over again because of your suggestions.
And
not even suggestions. That was directly like, I'm in charge. Stop it.
We're doing this now. And I believe Ross also said that he Baldwin always liked his hero props. So even if they weren't filming anything, he wanted to be in costume and have all of his props on him.
Too effing bad. Yeah. Makes me okay with the fact that I never went west. Yeah.
Yes.
That would not fly in stage work that I've done. Although let me object to my own testimony, Your Honor. I continue to just be stunned by the questions that are being asked of this particular witness. Like, you know, measurements of where they were filming and all the rest of it.
Oh yeah. All right. I've managed to finally get to just a little bit before cross. And because I just the way Mr. Bowles comes in is just wild.
Yes.
I have everybody sped up and it's still not fast enough for my brain.
At any point in time when you were in the church after lunch, did you hear anyone tell Ms. Guiterrez to leave the church?
No.
Objection, Your Honor.
It's a secret game they're playing on us. Can we all object at home in our chairs?
Right? I mean, was this a drinking game? I don't...
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, when you started your testimony, early on in your testimony, you talked about being on 12 prior movies with armor or something like that. Recall that?
Yeah.
You talked about you're used to seeing ex-cops, ex-military. Remember that?
Yes.
As the armor, the primary, were those all males?
I can't give you a definitive on that. I think there may have been a female or two, female armor that I worked with in the past.
But you just didn't, you weren't used to seeing a young 24-year-old armor, were you? A female.
I wasn't used to seeing a young 24-year-old armor.
And a female.
That doesn't play into it for me. So whether male or female doesn't really matter in that case.
Okay, and I want to get into another, and we'll work through these topics, but you've talked a lot about things that you think Ms. Guiterrez-Reed did. One of the things you didn't tell the jury is that you've sued Rest Production and Alec Baldwin, haven't you?
I have.
You what?
Yes.
You have a pending lawsuit right now, don't you?
As far as I know, it's pending, yes, sir.
And your attorney's in the courtroom?
He is indeed.
Been what?
Every single person who could sue production has sued production. Those are all working their way through because, yeah, correct. I wonder how the jury feels about this. For me, it means nothing. But this is the man. So this comes in right after he has explained that he was helping Joel Souza and could feel the bullet in Joel Souza's shoulder and was assisting everybody who could with what was happening. And this is how Bowles comes in.
Yeah.
Well,
and I also, if you wanted to take the bias angle, then you should have done your homework and figured out who the armorers were on those dozen or so other productions, and been able to present evidence that, look, 10 out of these 12 were male. All of them were over the age of blah. And so that's what you're used to seeing. That clearly would make it unusual for you. Da, 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 da. I mean, come on. You don't, of course, he's not going to say, oh, yeah, you're right. Totally weird to me that it was a female armorer. You're not going to get that out of a witness. That's life is not legally blonde. Sorry to say.
No, it is not. I'm going to, where is it? I'm gonna let him play a little bit. Wait, how long? I'm trying to think. He has a great mic drop moment. And did I write that down? No. So I'm gonna let them duke it out just a little bit because he handles Cross very well.
Testimony?
Clearly.
See how you do?
You'd have to ask him, sir.
Okay. And you've sued Alec Baldwin and Rust Production, but you have not sued Hannah Guiterrez Reed, have you?
Again, you'd have to talk to my counsel about who I've actually sued.
Have you read the lawsuit?
I perused it.
You perused it. What does that mean? Did you read it, all the paragraphs, or did you just read page 1 and just said, knock yourself out, lawyer, go ahead?
I think I got past page 1, but since I'm not in your industry, I don't understand what a lot of that is. And I trust my counsel to represent me.
It seems like you're making a lot of opinions earlier on what armors do. You filed a lawsuit. It seems like you could have read your lawsuit, right?
Objection, relevance to whether or not he read his lawsuit?
Well, I want to ask if he's read these paragraphs because he has a totally different story in his lawsuit that he did today. So I want to ask him if he's read and adopted this lawsuit.
Not actually. Bulls. No.
Did you approve your lawsuit?
No.
Being filed?
No.
I must have.
Because it was filed.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I didn't approve it, but it's filed and I'm suing. Yeah.
And in that lawsuit, you're suing for a variety of things, punitive damages, right?
Again, I'm not a lawyer, sir, so you'd have to discuss that with my counsel.
Well, you're suing for loss of enjoyment of life.
Certainly.
Yes.
Okay. And you're suing for medical expenses and non-medical expenses, right?
I understood that to be the case, yes.
So out of this tragedy, you claim that you have a blast injury, right?
I believe that's in the documents you're referring to, yes, sir.
Did you go to the doctor for a blast injury?
I have talked to my physician about what happened that day, yes.
You've talked to your physician. Did they do any tests?
He
Did
was
they take
in
any
the
x-rays? Did
room
you just
when
tell him
the-
I was in this? And
I described the
boom
incident and
happened.
he did what he felt was appropriate.
what was that?
I'm not going to discuss my medical treatment with you, sir.
Okay. Well, so you're in the event you're suing Rust Production and Alec Baldwin, right?
Yes.
And you're here telling this jury all about Miss Guiterrez Reed, but in your lawsuit, you talk about defendants, Rust Production and Alec Baldwin, cut corners and cut costs and then endanger the cast and crew. So you believe that, right? Rust Production?
I do.
And you believe that their hiring of Gabrielle Pickle and Ro Walters to manage the budget was not a good idea because they have cost-cutting problems on prior sets? You believe that?
Correct.
Okay. And you also believe that David Halls had prior safety issues, correct?
Yes.
On a prior set, he didn't manage that safely, did he?
That was my understanding.
You also believe, you knew that Miss Guiterrez Reed had asked for more training days as an armorer. You knew that.
I don't-
In the form of question, there needs to be a question. It sounds like a statement.
You were
Overruled.
okay. You're aware that Miss Guiterrez Reed asked Gabrielle Pickle for more time as an armorer, more training days, and more armorer days. You're aware of that.
I became aware of that after 2 people were shot. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, it's in your lawsuit. It's part of your lawsuit.
Okay.
Okay. So
Because I
let me ask
found
you this.
out
Are you hoping that
after it
you can
happened.
come in and testify here today and something happens to Miss Guiterrez Reed, it'll help your lawsuit?
I'm hoping for justice, sir.
For
2
yourself?
people were injured on a film set. That has not only affected me, that has affected the film industry.
And you want money for that?
I want justice.
You
In
want
what-
money. Your lawsuit didn't say justice. It said
that the I want justice mic drop. That
Yeah.
let's be real. The jury stopped at I want justice.
Yeah. And it's a totally, I mean, I'm amazed that the prosecutor stopped objecting when she did. Again, maybe I've watched too many courtroom dramas and they've just gotten into my head, but all of that, the relevance of that was absolutely limited to 2 answers. You believed these people were liable That feels relevant. Unless you're going to back that up, though, as the defense, unless you're actually going to bring evidence that that's true of your own, not just what other people are bringing pending lawsuits about, I'm not sure how effective that is. Anyway, the whole thing.
And
I don't understand.
I was not expecting. Bulls had been so kind to so many people and just like, so you said this, but then I see this. Okay, but you said this, and it was wonderful. And then you get a super sympathetic witness who's clearly just there to explain his experience.
Yeah.
And say there's a problem here that needs to be sorted out. And
I
that's
imagine
not
it's not like you go volunteer to be a witness for the prosecution. So, I'm testifying here because I was asked to, sir. This has the two things are not related.
Yeah, witnesses we see one witness later who is super buddy with the prosecution. Yeah, it was. I think I have my timestamps better on that one. And we have some side by side comparisons. So yeah, that was day 4. Oh no, I missed one on day 4. Let me go back. Nope. Wait. No, that was day 3. Hi. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee here. That was day 3. This is a 10-day. This is when it just started to get nuts. Day 4 was long.
Insane.
And insane. Yeah, day 3, Ross Adiago. Lovely. Man never should have witnessed what he witnessed. Yeah, and who's he suing? He's suing the people who have deep pockets. Hannah doesn't have deep pockets.
Well, and also I would imagine the people who employed him. Which is not Hannah. Hannah didn't personally employ him, so that would make sense to me.
And I believe amongst earlier testimony of his, somewhere in all of that testimony, I do believe that he discussed that he went to his union rep and was like, this set is a minefield and we need to fix that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did. And then like Bowles was asking him about that. It's like, but you didn't actually change anything. It's like, unions are bureaucracies too, sir. You can report it all you want. Whether or not there's going to be anything done immediately is, So that was pretty much day 3 because he pretty much closes out day 3. And then we all went home and went, oof, that was a lot. So I'm going to swoop and move into day 4. I'm going to try and speed, although this day 4 was just nuts. So I'm going to try and zoom. I don't know how we'll do. On a mission. Swoopy swoop. Hit the right swoop. There. Swoop. And so the very first thing I'm going to pull up from day 4 is the prosecution's firearms expert.
Yes.
Because then when we get toward the end of the trial, we're going to see the defense's firearms.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
It's indefensible. Yes.
This is how they literally all they should have done is called this guy back and asked him questions instead of bringing in LARP guy.
Yes.
I do reenactments, so I know how to handle a firearm. That's not that.
Let me now
that's not-
demonstrate to you how that's not at all true.
No.
Yeah.
This is a firearms expert that is correct. This is how that I'm just gonna start from the very beginning, and we'll. Hang on. I'm gonna get it to where we zoom because 1.25 speed, and even that's too slow sometimes. Speed round. I'm gonna try. So if they look a little funny, it's because I put them on 1.25 speed because I'm trying to go fast.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. Have a seat talking to the microphone.
Your Honor, pursuant to our agreement with security in terms of firearm safety, Mr. Rice is going to provide Mr. Haig with a box that has a firearm in it.
Oh, we mean not pouches
Yes.
just randomly brought into the courtroom?
I suspect Mr.
Look
Haig
at
will clear
that.
it again.
This is correct.
And
This
you
is
and
how
you led
do this.
your witness to clear it again, which
It
is
is cleared.
appropriate. And look
And
at
it
that.
Sir, can you
never
go ahead and state your
pointed
Pointed
full
it
name
at
for
the
the record?
floor. Did
Lucian
not,
C.
yeah.
Haig, spelled Haag,
How do you spell your first name?
Lucien.
How are you currently employed?
I have my own consulting firm in Carefree, Arizona, Forensic Science Services.
What does Forensic Science Services do?
I'm involved in firearms evidence examination, primarily the reconstructive aspects of shootings, distance determinations, long-range shootings. Is it a ricocheted bullet? How close was the gun when it was discharged? Those are all reconstructive issues beyond the usual identifying a bullet or cartridge as having been fired from a gun. That's something I also do, but my main focus is the reconstructive aspects of shootings.
What were you asked to do in this case?
Well, a number of things to determine how
And let me stop you real quick. Were you asked to do reconstruction, or were you asked to do more examination and identification?
Identification was a small part of what I did. I did do that with the evidence cartridge case, but primarily reconstruction.
In this case?
That's correct.
Okay. And can you give the jurors an idea of your background and experience, please?
Yes, most criminal.
I'm going to skip. He's super experienced. There is no reason to question his experience. Like all experience. I can run through some of it, but in trying to zoom.
Yeah.
Let's see.
No, I mean, so folks, one of the things I actually did watch, thanks to Aurora before we recorded today, was the defense's firearms expert. It's hard for me to say those words with a straight face. So yeah, this is what you want to see. This is the level of confidence, and not just in speaking, but in management of any sort of firearm that's brought into a courtroom.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I know we learn lots and lots of things. I mean, just for if you're not a gun person, like I am not, just listening to him discuss all of the different things with the firearms and stuff is very fascinating and helpful. And I would stay with him for much longer, except zoom. So
Yes.
I am trying to. I thought there was one other demonstration, and that's what I'm trying to get to, because again, it's like the exact opposite of what the defense's guy did. Like the exact.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to get to how to do this correctly. Mostly his testimony was, yes, the FBI broke the gun. That was a whole thing. But you can't fire this gun without pulling without cocking it in some way. Basically, that will end up being used more in Baldwin's trial than this trial. This is testimony we're probably going to actually see again in July when Baldwin comes along and does his thing. Did I write it down? No, I did not. Nope, did not write down what I was looking for. Hi guys, look at me go, look at me go, look at me go. Did he come back here? Did I miss it? No, we were back. Oh.
Was there any discussion from this witness about the ease of how easy it is to tell apart live rounds as opposed to?
Some. There was some. Not yes, there was some.
I was just curious how that was approached, because I imagine it would be a question that both sides would want to have, want to put an answer to whether or not the people involved should have been able to tell whether they were using live rounds or not. So I wondered if this person touched on that.
It is. He did touch on it in some way, because every witness in some way, shape, or form got asked questions by the prosecution about this. Whether or not they were weapons experts, had any experience with these things or not, like just about everybody got asked about it. What's interesting, I would recommend checking out, actually, because it's super fascinating. It's like a year old, but Ian Runkle, the channel Runkle of the Bailey, he took a non-gun person to a firing range to see if she could tell the difference between live round and dummy round, blindfolded, with almost no training. Guess what? Blindfolded with almost no training.
Oh, wow.
She was able to pull out things and go, this is a dummy, this is live, this is dummy, this is live, which just further indicates to me that there is absolutely no way at all that this
doesn't surprise
should have
me.
happened.
Yeah, if you, yeah, that doesn't surprise me either.
I mean, I feel like the weight of a live round would be enough to tip you off, because blanks feel different. Blanks don't feel heavy like a live round does, and dummies certainly don't feel heavy like a live round. Like,
well, I've not worked with enough to really speak to it, but blanks, to my understanding and experience, yes, you're right, because they don't contain a projectile, so they don't have the weight of that actual projectile. So
yeah. So day 4, movies and class day. So we started off the day with that lovely, fascinating weapons expert. And then we bring in Corporal Hancock. And the body cam video. And I'm going to skip ahead to a particular spot, because I sing a little song every time I hit that spot in my head. It is from Hannah's police interview. Her first police interview. So this is, and this, I'm going to skip over the beginning, although we can do a deeper dive at some point on some of these, but I think we're going to see a lot of this again when Alec goes to, at least Hannah was smart enough to keep her mouth shut once she got to court. I don't think Baldwin is going to do the same. So, but here we are. I can get there. Close enough. All right. Share this screen, Aurora. Hit play.
Or like where the gun was, to secure the weapons on set. And I got yelled at, and I ran out and Dave brought me the gun and I opened the gun up and one of the dummies somehow had been discharged.
And can you kind of explain a little bit more what you mean by that it was discharged?
So if I had to pull it, wait, I have some dummies. So, right, check it out.
That's where I sing the song. It's a pocket full of shells. Pocket full of shells. Because out of nowhere. So, okay. I promise my head will not explode at the moment. She's in the police station.
Yeah, you'd think that she would have.
Did no one check her? She has a pocket full of shells. Just put on the table. Here you go. Show and tell. Pocket full of shells.
At the same time, I would be much more surprised if she pulled out an actual weapon rather than ammunition. Because
True.
yeah, I mean, when you're being brought, unless you're being arrested, unlikely that you're going to be even fully patted down. But at the same time, most police stations, I think you would go through a metal detector of some sort. So it's interesting that she's made it this far. But I've never been in this particular police station. I don't think I've ever been in this situation. So yeah.
I have some serious questions. So I wanted to get there. Her police interview is not good. And truthfully, like the initial police things, it's like, well, there's kind of no way she's coming out of this at some point. She is going to, hey mouse, work with me here. Nope. This side. I need to do that so that I can find the next bit on here. Yeah, she just pulls out the shells and starts explaining dummies and stuff like that. It's like, okay. But I want to get to, then Cross got spicy with this corporal because one of the ladies who's in the police, I hear you, Mace. I hear you. I'm zooming as quick as I can. I'm zooming as quick as I can. She has some thoughts. Okay, we are going to go to my next timestamp. No. Hang on. No.
Everybody okay?
Come on. Heavens. Hi. All right. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to pull up where I want to pull up, and then Macy, I'm working. Macy, I'm working.
This is what happens when your four-legged family members don't know how to tell time in human terms, or you take longer than they expected you to. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Hi, baby. They will find a way to come in and check on you and say, excuse me, it's time for me to get attention again. Yes. What a beautiful girl.
Say hello to the internet, darling. Say hello to the internet.
She waved. Oh. That was cute. Hi, Bubba.
And we are, come on, camera, find us. My beautiful girl is not, I know. Please, no, we don't need to do that right now. Yeah.
I just love you, Mom.
I need the camera to focus on me again so that they can focus on you. There we go. Come on. Now. Come on, camera.
Wow, it's really refusing to reset.
It hates me. Gotta give me a second. All right.
There you go. I can see you again now. Yay.
Yay, there we are. Where did my timestamp? Oh, I think my timestamp just did not work out the way I wanted it to. Oh, you know what? You know what helps when pulling up timestamps? Having the correct day.
Ah, yes, indeed.
We can
Have
move
we
on.
swiped between days? I don't even. We might have missed
We
one.
did. We did. So that we're gonna call that day 4 because it's a lot of movies in class. We basically go through Hannah's whole we go so oh look at me. Look at me. I have the timestamp already on day 5 for where I wanted to go. Hi, Macy.
There's that pretty girl again.
Macy says, Mama, can you go any faster? Say hi to the internet, sweetie. Hi. Oh, no.
No.
She went down. Oh, Macy. Oh, Macy. All right. You know what we're going to do? You know what we're not. You can't help me with the show. That's not what we're doing. What we are going to do, I am going to pull up. Nope. Yep. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to how I work. Okay. Nope. Nope. Okay. Hang on. No. That. Almost there, guys. Almost there. I'm sorry this is taking so long. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up what I want so that there we go. No, wait, hang on. Let's
From
no.
Mr. Bowles.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
And Mr. Reed.
Me? Distracted by my dog? No. Nope. Nope.
Your dog is very adorable and distracting.
She is very, very adorable. I appreciate her very much. That not okay. It's a little farther back than where I wanted to go. But what I am going to do while I release the hound, literally, hot.
Me. That's me. She's talking about me.
Is I am going to hit play and there is smirks in here. This is redirect with this lady, and I'm gonna let it play for like 4 minutes, because the prosecution ends up asking a question and getting an answer that is wild. So
who is this witness? Sorry.
This is that would be helpful to know. So we are on day 5. This is Corporal Hancock. She is the one who brought all of the police interviews into evidence because she is one of the officers who interviewed Hannah the day of.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have to say, not my favorite witness. Found some of this kind of icky. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, so she's a police officer who handled the investigation and stuff like that, and who I think maybe didn't follow as many threads as she ought to have. In my own personal opinion here. Play.
Yes. Because of and
No.
let me ask you.
Sorry, guys.
In your conversations with Mr. Bowles, did he implicate Mr. Kinney?
That seemed to be the direction he was going.
And did he put you in touch with Mr. Reed?
Yes, he did.
And did Mr. Reed implicate Mr. Kinney?
Yes, he did.
And did he put you in touch with Mr. Teskey?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I don't remember.
Okay. And based on the information that you received from Mr. Bowles and Mr. Reed, what did you do?
I followed up with the information that they provided me.
Did you petition the court for a search warrant?
Yes, I did.
Did you execute the search warrant?
Yes.
Did you seize items from PDQ?
Yes, I did.
Did that investigation lend any usable evidence that Mr. Kinney provided the live ammunition to the set of Rust?
No.
At some point, did you stop pursuing that lead?
Yes.
Why?
Because I had no evidence that supported the information that Mr. Bowles was giving me.
Do you have any information that Mr. Kinney was on the set of Rust prior to the death of Ms. Hutchins?
None.
You were asked whether or not you sent the ammunition boxes that were provided by Mr. Kinney for fingerprints and DNA. Do you recall that?
I believe so.
Would you expect Mr. Kinney's fingerprints and DNA to be on ammunition that he provided?
Yes.
And we understand that I asked you to send the 4 spent casings for print analysis. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you recall having a conversation with me where I asked you to do that?
Yes.
Did you tell me that it was highly unlikely that it was going to yield any results?
Yes.
And were you correct?
Yes, I was.
The smirking between the two of them drives me crazy.
Do you know, and if you don't, just say so, when that box of the dummy rounds with the tape and the blue Sharpie writing that came from Seth Kinney, when did that arrive on set? Do you know?
I don't know the date.
In preparation for your testimony, did you meet with me?
Yes.
Did we meet over Zoom?
Yes.
Is that the only
I'd
time
better
that you met with
care
me
about that.
to prepare for testimony in this case?
I believe so.
You met with me on another occasion to prepare on another case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why is it important for you to meet with the prosecuting attorney before you testify?
A lot of it is to refresh myself with, parts of the case and what I need to focus on, especially because this is such a big case. As you can see, I have a large binder and a large box.
I have to pause. A large binder, a large box.
I don't.
Again?
Why? Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just don't. The clarification. Did someone bring up the fact that they met? Why are we going through this careful analysis of we met once over Zoom and then once on another case? And I mean,
uncross the fact that Seth Kinney was all up in her voicemails came out, and the fact that and this is the defense should have. I apologize for my pause game, except you kind of made me mad throughout the entire trial, so I'm shady pausing you, ma'am. No, throughout it was Seth Kinney was like, hey, you should check this out. Hey, you should check this out. Hey, you should check that out. Hey, it was Hannah. Hey, it was Hannah. Hey, it was Hannah. I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
And vastly oversimplifying. And Bowles was also like checking in and stuff like that. It does seem like they just went with what Seth Kenney had to say and did not investigate him. He had a month to clean out his prop house. Now, granted, it looked like an episode of Hoarders even after a month, but he had a month before.
Well, and if you're trying to make it look like you didn't clean up certain things, you would kind of want it to look like an episode of Hoarders.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I couldn't possibly, if I'd had something bad in here, I couldn't possibly clean it. I mean, look.
Yeah. I would recommend to anybody that's just like, oh, well, clearly it was this. Go watch Seth Kenney's police interview. I believe with her. The first 10 minutes of it is all you need.
Well, and I also no, finish. Sorry. I got ahead of myself.
Nope. We're almost at the moment where I will stop this, and I don't think I swooped for day 5. So 4 and 5 are all one day, apparently. It felt like all one day.
So it helps me to narrow down facts that I need to focus on.
And have you given truthful testimony today?
Yes.
When you met with me, did I tell you what to say?
We talked about what was going to be discussed.
Did I tell
That was a
you
long pause.
what testimony to give?
Yes.
Did I tell you what testimony to give? Yes.
Yes. Well, that was a long pause before on the first question.
Uh-huh.
I was like, hello? Let me think about how to phrase this without saying that you did.
My notes on that day were ick, do not like this. And did I tell you what testimony to give? Yes.
Yes. Oof.
And the prosecutor did try to save that. But that's not the answer you want your witness to give.
No. You should never. I fail to understand why you would ask a witness that question. Because the wrong answer puts you in deep, dark doo-doo. To steal a phrase from my mother.
Speaking of wrong answers, I have my notes here. We don't really need the video of Gabrielle Pickle, but her testimony is when I was like, oh, it's just the wrong answers only trial. We had all of these experts, and then everybody from production, everybody from production that had not, that was not in the church and doing helpful things like Ross. Just wrong answers only across the board. Should an armor double up on duties? Yeah. No. Is it okay for no safety meetings to happen? There wasn't really a need. Wrong answers only.
Clearly we needed something. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think we need Gabrielle Pickle, who glares at Hannah on her way out after testimony. It's very odd. It's very like so yeah, I don't love this lady and her yeah, whatever Seth Kenney says, that's fine. No.
I'm never going to recover from, did I tell you what testimony to give? Yes. That's end of trial.
Like, this is, I think I called you that day. I was like, this is a dumpster fire inside of what is it? This is a shit show inside of a dumpster fire in a flood. That's this trial.
Yep.
Because I don't think I've
It's-
ever seen a police officer be like, yeah, you told me what to say.
No.
Ma'am?
And again, I can't imagine why you would put someone on the stand and ask them that question in that way. There had to be another way to get at what you were trying to get at that didn't allow her to give the wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
There had to.
Yeah. There had to be a different way of asking that question.
Oops. Whoopsie.
Like, the best way to ask that question would have been like, how many times have you testified in court? Because my guess is she hasn't testified. Like, for a police officer, she probably hasn't testified that much. Okay. Is it like nerve-wracking to be in court? Yes. Is it helpful to go over with the attorneys what to expect while you're providing testimony? Yes. All of those things get you the answer that doesn't make it look like you set this up.
Yes. Although ironically, I can't not point out the irony of, did I tell you how to testify? Clearly, if you had, she would not have said yes to that question. There you go. That's Alanis. Write a song about that. That's ironic.
That is ironic. That right there. Oh yeah. So all right, I am gonna swoop. We will dive into some others later, but honestly, most of the day 6 and day 7 testimony we're gonna see again. We're gonna see all of this again when it's Baldwin's turn to be in the hot seat.
And you were saying this is mostly the folks who are on set, but not in useful capacities.
Yep.
Relevant capacities to the use of props and firearms and such.
I mean, there's Sarah Zachary, who I should pull up some of her stuff because she was the props person. So I'm going to swoop so that we can get into day 6. And we will start day 6. We start with an armorer who actually is a good one, who actually explains what an armorer does.
Oh,
I know, right? We've had all of these different people.
Wait, so you're suggesting that you have a person who actually does the job testify about what the job is? That's interesting. I never thought of that before.
Isn't it amazing? It's kind of
sarcasm is my love language. I apologize.
All right. No. Oh, for heaven's sake. Can you do that? No. Okay.
Just then I could barely hear you, so I'm not sure.
Okay. That's because I hit the thing and we have all of the ads that are like, hey, you've done all your pre-production work, you have all the videos ready to go. We have ads also ready to go just to mess up the show that you're doing. You know.
I just finally got rid of Hulu because it was convinced I was a middle-aged man who needed certain products that I have no interest in or need for, or because I'm not a middle-aged man.
Funny thing about that.
Yeah. Good to know that only on Hulu, where I mostly watch only Murders in the Building. So perhaps.
I can see where it got there. Yep.
But it was, as I was usually watching it with my daughter, it was doubly annoying. Please stop playing this ad, please.
Please stop. I didn't swoop it, did I?
Nope. Swoop away.
Swoop. No, swoop.
It's going. Makes me want to remake the song Shoop to be Swoop.
Swoopy doop. And I just sound like I'm an overgrown child every time I say it because it's a really fun word to say. All righty. We are on day 6. Day 6. Share screen. This. Day 6. Actual armorer.
Hello.
Who is also adorable. Yes. Yes. If you are at all thirsty, you will just continue to be thirsty during his testimony. Just a warning. Yes. Let's start with his lovely little introduction. Here. Do I have it sped up? Probably not. No, I do not.
Do you swear
Let us
affirm under
speed him
penalty
up
of law
ever
that
so
the testimony you'll
slightly.
give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead. I'm talking to the microphone. Have a seat.
I like your tie.
Full name for the record, please.
Brian W. Carpenter.
And how are you currently employed?
I work for 13 South Productions.
And is that a company that you own?
It is.
And what kind of a company is that?
It's a production company.
What do you produce?
Films and documentaries.
And in addition to being a producer, have you also had armorer experience in the film industry?
I have.
So what I'd like to do, I'm going to back up just a little bit. I want to talk about
She's
your
always backing up.
experience with regard to firearms prior to you becoming involved in the film industry. Can you tell us if you have any law enforcement or any kind of special firearms training?
I do. I spent most of my adult life using a firearm as a tool, either as a protector or trainer, and then ultimately in the film industry as an armorer. My last official assignment that I worked on was New Orleans Police Department SWAT, Tactical Unit 3 under Jeff Wynn's command. That was during Katrina and all of Rita, and then all of the cleanup and restoration efforts. Before that, I worked as a contractor, securities contractor for almost 20 years. I've worked on operations from Haiti to et cetera, et cetera. I've trained at Mobile Operation and Urban Combat Training for RCTA. I've trained at NASA.
And what's RCTA?
Regional Counter Narcotics Training Academy.
Thank you, sir.
And they have a Mount City there. It's Mobile Operations and Urban Terrain. I've received my high-risk environment training and implementation certification there, level 1 and 2. I've trained down at NASA at Cape Canaveral for SWAT and some machine gun, slick fire training. Had some really good mentors that advised me to get as much training as they would put out there. So I was very fortunate to have their guidance and direction over a 20-year career.
Okay. And then how did you end up transitioning into the film industry?
After Katrina, we were down there working, and one of my buddies came to me and he said, "Would you like to go and do some bodyguard work for an actor?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." So I turned him down at first, and then he kept coming back to me. I said, "You told him you had somebody, didn't you?" And he said, "Yeah, just go talk to him." So I went and had a conversation with him, and it ended up being the movie Deja Vu with Denzel Washington and his crew. And I went to work for him for a little while on that show, and got some guidance from him, and that transitioned me into film, and I took my skill set and applied it there.
And have you been employed on film sets in the role of armorer?
I have.
Approximately how many times have you worked as an armorer on a film set?
Considering individual episode TV and feature film, around 100 projects.
And have you been hired in some capacity by the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
Yes, I was contacted, it seems now, maybe a couple of years ago, to come on as a expert witness and try to help sort out some of the intricacies of film and armor services.
Okay. I would tender Mr. Carpenter as an expert in firearm safety on film sets.
No objection, Your Honor.
Finally an
Expert
actual
firearm safety
expert
on film
who
sets.
does
Yes,
this
Your
for work. Took you long enough, Carrie.
Mr.
What a
Carpenter,
concept.
in the time that you have worked on this case, have you reviewed documents and videos?
I have.
And can you give the jurors an idea of the types of things that you've reviewed in order to be able to render opinions?
It's been a while now, and I've looked at quite a great deal of paper, video. I've watched police interviews. I've watched videos from the set of Rust that were taken. I've reviewed documents from the district attorney's office in the form of transcripts. I've reviewed firearms. I've been able to actually go and look at the evidence. I've also looked at the rounds that were used on set, including the dummy rounds, et cetera, and a plethora of other things. It's categorized. It's, I would say.
I'm just pausing him because I have a different timestamp, so we're going to jump ahead, even though I could listen to him all day long.
Yes,
The man has done his
witness
homework.
that's Yeah, he sounds authoritative and humble and like all of the things that you, because it's not, let me lecture you on this. It's just, yep, I've done, I have experience. I've reviewed all the information. Yeah.
I've done all the things. Here's where we're at. All right. I need to jump ahead to the what's wrong with this picture game. And we're all going to play the what's wrong with this picture game. I'll get there. This is stuff from the actual film set of Rust that they end up looking at. Close enough. I think I'm like 47 seconds off. But
All right,
we're
we're
about to
looking at
play
what's
the
wrong
what's
49
wrong
for
with
Rust
this
if you want.
picture game.
Yeah.
Mr. Carpenter, can you see your screen there?
50 years old and get my glasses on, okay?
You and me both. All right, let's
The glasses on.
I'm going to play for you State's Exhibit 149. We don't know where the volume is. We'll fine tune it when we get started.
We'll find it when we get. Yep.
I don't hear anything. Mm-mm.
How many wrong things can we find in this video clip with how the guns are being held?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Can you all hear if you wind it up a little bit more? Up.
Oh my God. Why?
That's an 11-year-old kid just. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stop the video here. Are we okay?
Well, he said they'd like it up a little bit more.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's see if we can.
We can't do it. George says it's up to the max.
Let me double check what I've got here. Hang on.
Could put the microphone closer to her.
Let's see. Let me see. Let me try this for y'all. And just so you know, because these are behind the scenes filming, I don't think we're really, there isn't a lot of close up audio of when these people are kind of mulling around.
Correct.
It's
It's
not
not
go ahead and
about
start
that.
over.
If you understand firearms,
No.
take a moment
No.
to breathe.
No. No.
I'm stopping.
Still a
21
big
seconds.
fat no.
Do you see anything concerning in this video?
The number one thing is muzzle discipline. That performer, that stunt performer, I'm assuming that's a stunt performer out there, has got what appears to be live weapons, and he's got zero muzzle discipline. He's holding the shotgun, and if you back it up to the beginning, he points it almost directly at, I believe it's Joel Souza, right at the front. Or I'm not sure who that is, but he's handling that weapon. That weapon should be turned down at the ground, muzzle pointed down when he's carrying it, and his pistol should be holstered and never brought out, which he doesn't, but he carries the shotgun muzzle up. You can back it up a little bit more. Right. Come on back a little bit. Right about all in here. I guess that's the young child actor right there. So these are just examples of muzzle discipline. You never let the muzzle of the weapon cover anything you're not willing to harm. That's rule number 3 of firearms handling.
How is Ms. Gutierrez supposed to be responsible for what this actor is doing with this gun?
Well, from what I can see from the camera angles is I don't know if she's present here, and it appears that they have live weapons out without her presence. If she were present, I would ask that I would think that she would tell that performer that you need to put that weapon pointed down at the ground. If she's standing there with him, just correct his behavior with the weapon a bit.
So it's her responsibility to correct his unsafe handling of that gun.
She's repeating his testimony, overruled.
Yes, what you would want to do is, and this is an example of a stunt performer that that I would have replaced if he could not handle the weapon properly and safely after instruction. He would have not had a live weapon.
Okay. We'll go ahead and let me see if let me just kind of run through it real quick and see.
And it's even more important when you've got a child actor on set or any children on set. it's very important that you, even though you wouldn't say that there are layers of safety, but as a matter of principle and just professionalism, if you've got a child on set, it becomes an exponentially more important to make sure the safety is performed.
Okay.
To be fair to Hannah, she asked for training with the child and was told they didn't want to put the kid on the insurance, and therefore she didn't get to train the kid.
Lovely. I just want to know why people are wandering around with these things when she's not there, because that seems to me to be the crux of this whole issue. Like, why?
Oh, yeah.
Why are there live weapons? Why are there, when there are children and you don't have your armor? That right there is negligence at a level that should matter.
And then when you do
not only
have
to this case, but to future cases around this same incident.
Yes. Oh, yes. And when you do have your armor, take a deep breath, because this video with the armor there does not help Hannah's case, like at all. Like at all. No. Oh. Give me a moment, ladies and
Take your
gentlemen.
time.
I hit
Take your
the
time.
thing and then it disappeared.
Beauty of technology.
Oh,
It's so wonderful when it works.
Great when it works. Great when it works.
I
And
seem to
then-
have like a magical technological black hole that is attached to me and occasionally jumps at the technology that I'm trying to use. It's great.
This is like, you don't get to do this. Wait, where are we? Yes. Come here. Do. I'm the only person that can record a show and still have this sort of thing happen. Yep, I can. 'Cause I'm awesome. Almost.
I just, all the way through this trial, I keep thinking of, all the sayings that I grew up with about like, don't do anything that you wouldn't want on the front page of tomorrow's paper, right? And then how those have how the likelihood of that has all been magnified by the use of social media and smartphones and all of the rest of it. And then take that mentality and put it on a movie set where there are literally always cameras and always people with smartphones and and I'm like, if you don't know to be careful there, you're doing it wrong.
Yes. All right. This is another game, another round, and then I will zoom. Another round of what's wrong with how we're doing this. Hit play on the right screen.
Wrap the shotgun.
So that kid.
You know who that female's voice is? Okay. For the purposes of my next question, let's assume that is the voice of Hannah Guiterrez.
Okay, and what did she say? I heard shotgun.
Let me replay it for you, because I'll get it wrong.
Got a little fight too. Come on, little piggy. You could honestly probably wrap the shotgun if you wanted.
That's where we like them.
You could honestly
Wrap the shotgun.
wrap the shotgun.
For the scene, I think
That's
is
right.
probably what they're discussing.
Right. Wrap it around him and hold him in place with it. Right.
So, assuming that's Ms. Gutierrez that we can hear, and she's present,
Right.
what should she be doing with this stuntman that we've seen with his bad muzzle discipline?
Right. She, like I say, tightening him up, pull him off, discreetly and starting off, say, hey, look, be careful where you point the muzzle of the weapon. You're swinging it around pretty haphazardly. Hopefully it's already been checked and checked properly. Then, give him a little coaching.
I want to know what Hannah just said to her attorney.
I'm just
So
scrolling
much.
to see if there's any other places I want to stop.
It's also of note here is if you're going to use that scene that way and you're going to handle the shotgun, then clear the crew out, get some proximity, in areas of safe zones that you operate within. It's a lot of people walking in and out. There's a lot of crew in and out of there, you just need to get that whole area under control a bit better.
Okay. And where I've stopped it here, I have stopped States Exhibit 150 at 5 minutes and 2 seconds. What do you see with regard to that shotgun right now?
It's pointed at the child, I'd say the young actor, child actor, young actor. And it's not, understand that if you're seeing, there are scenes in movies that require, weapons to be pointed in certain directions, but you take safeguards and measures prior to that. Just standing in the middle of a rough rehearsal and doing this thing is one level above him walking around with it in between takes.
Okay. And should the actors or stuntmen walk around with their live firearms in between takes?
No.
Why not?
Again, it opens the door to any unsafe act that might occur, from loss of the weapon, like we talked about, to leaving it somewhere. I've seen all of these things occur on a movie set, to lack of control. And at the end of the day, control is how you manage safety.
Okay.
Yes. And that control is how you manage safety. And this is where I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to pull back, because this is about the point in time where I was like, hey, look, somebody who gets this. And also was having flashbacks to Killing Lights during a show when it was a different sort of fight choreography, and one of the actors had gotten very into the role and had just missed the fact that the other actor that it wasn't choreography.
It was no longer safe.
It was no longer
safe.
And I remember radioing up to the booth, and I was like, kill the lights. Oh, I can't kill the lights because the scene's not over. The scene is going to be over in a whole different way if you do not kill the lights right now. So you have two choices: kill the lights on your end, or I'm standing by the breaker box. I'm going to take care of it. And luckily they listened to me, but I was control. Somebody had to exert control, and I was the one that was going to do that. To keep it.
It was a show that I was also working on, and it was scary, bad. And the actor who was unsafe did not even recognize that they were unsafe until it was brought to their attention after the fact.
They didn't. If I remember correctly, you correctly went up one side of that actor, down the other after it happened, and they responded with basically like, it's not that big a deal. Everything is fine.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I feel like
they came off stage and came up to us like, oh, that was so great. And did not go well from there. But everyone was okay.
Everybody was okay. We can laugh
scarred
about it
permanently,
now.
Emotionally, but yeah. No, I mean, again, I've never worked on a film set, but rehearsals, when you're rehearsing something, when you're still talking about blocking, when you're still, you could wrap the gun around that's not a time to be using a live weapon. That is after you have blocked everything and figured out how you're going to accomplish that with minimal, if any, exposure of other people on set, whether or not they're on camera, to the muzzle being pointed at them. All of those things should happen first. So clearly the level of control would not have been to my comfort. But again, I've never worked on a film set. I don't know if you're spending the day shooting this scene and you have to get started. I don't know. I don't know what other factors played into the fact that they were doing this rehearsal with a live weapon, but that already hurts my brain.
Yeah. And that later we go into, what's a live weapon and what's not a live weapon and how he uses it. Lord, we needed a little dictionary going through this whole trial because everybody used different terminology. So it was difficult to try and keep up on. I really thought we could get through 10 days of insane trial in 2.5 hours. And I was wrong.
But everybody should remember that lack of muzzle discipline for when we get to the defense's expert. Yeah. Keep that in your head.
Yes. I should, no, I work an actual job, so I may not have the time to pull up this is correct. This is incorrect. But we may
bad.
Good, bad, good, bad. We may have to revisit that. We are on day 6. When we return in a few days, we will return to day 6. However, I know Mandy has lots of adventures that she has to go do. We've kept you here for 2.5 hours. That's long enough for a video. For one. So join us again for part 2. We will revisit day 6 and then we will go through the rest. So close. We made it halfway through. And yes, Macy is demanding my attention because it is well past her time and life. We do the thing.
Yes.
The thing.
We'll be back soon to wrap this up.
Yes, we will. So this is part 1 of 2. Then we will do part 2 of 2. And we will go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the outro and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments and we will see you.